Hello everyone. Today we are going to be talking about distribution. See, after studying absorption and first pass metabolism and bioavailability, we move to distribution. What is distribution? After a drug gets absorbed in the bloodstream, it is going to get distributed to various tissues. That is called as distribution. And now why are we studying distribution? See, every concept has got a logic. There is logic, there is clinical application behind everything. If there is no clinical application, then there is no purpose of studying that topic, right? So now what is the clinical application? It is used in the treatment of poisoning. Can you remember something like when we talk about treatment of poisoning? We have already studied treatment of poisoning somewhere. Exactly right. We study treatment of poisoning in case of absorption, because when we talk about acidic drug poisoning, what happens in that case? You alkalinize the urine, because acidic drug in basic pH is going to get ionized more, which can be excreted through urine, right? And here also we have treatment of poisoning, but here there is a little twist. It is different from the one which we talked in absorption. Okay, so see, what is the clinical application over here? Treatment of poisoning. If a drug is present in tissues, if a drug is present in tissues, hemodialysis is not effective. See, if toxicity has happened, what you do most of the times, you do hemodialysis so that you can remove drug. But now, how will you remove the drug if it is not present inside the blood and if it has got distributed inside the tissues, right? So it is important to know which drugs are going to be found more in the tissues than in the bloodstream. Okay, we have a mnemonic for it. Dialysis, co avoid. Now what does this mnemonic say? Dialysis, co avoid. That means avoid dialysis. Okay, in Hindi you say dialysis, co avoid. Okay, dialysis, co avoid. So D for hemodialysis. Basically dialysis means hemodialysis. K kerosene. A amphetamine. V verapamil. O opioids. I imipramine. D digoxin. See, we are going to study amphetamine, verapamil, opioids when we study CNS. Imipramine also, which is an antidepressant, we are going to study when we are going to study CNS. Digoxin is an antiarrhythmic and we will study in detail later on in the subsequent chapters. You need not worry about that. So it is very important that you remember this clinical thing, that it is used in the treatment of poisoning. Okay, if a drug is going to be found more in tissues, then hemodialysis becomes ineffective. It is ineffective in the case of following drugs. Now how do we understand distribution? See, I have made one example for all of you so that you can easily understand everything. Okay, so here we take 10 milligram of X drug, but in the second beaker, which is a little wide, you put charcoal. Okay, so the drug concentration, we just imagine it to be 1 milligram per liter. See, we have imagined this. Okay, this is given to us that the drug concentration is 1 milligram per liter. Now volume is dose upon concentration. Why it is dose upon concentration? That also I will explain you, don't worry, because everything has got a logic. But right now you just understand this example. After this example, I will explain you why the formula is volume equal to dose upon concentration when we will correlate it with the human body. Okay, because human body, physics and chemistry, all of these things are very related. Your medicine is very related to physics and chemistry. So never underestimate the power of physics and chemistry. Here chemistry comes into being, where you talk about adsorption. Okay, don't worry about it, I will explain you everything. Now here the volume is dose upon concentration, dose in milligram, concentration in milligram per liter. Volume comes out to be 10 milligram upon 1 milligram per liter. So here you have 10 liter, but here the drug concentration is less. Why is the drug concentration less in this case? Why we have taken less drug concentration? Because see, what happens is, when you are putting the drug here, the drug in the water will be less in comparison to the drug which is adsorbed on the surface of charcoal, right? The drug more and more is adsorbed on the surface of charcoal. So here the volume becomes 100 liter. But remember, this is a hypothetical value that we are talking about. Now, what do you understand by this example? Take this beaker to be your human body. Take this water to be your plasma. Take this charcoal to be your tissues. So what you understand from this example is, the more and more the drug is going to be present on charcoal, the less it will be on plasma, right? More the drug is there on tissues. In the tissues, it will be less in plasma. So the volume of distribution is inversely proportional to plasma concentration. Because what is your volume of distribution? Your volume of distribution is the volume of plasma that would contain total dose of drug if concentration throughout body is same as in the plasma. So basically, this is the volume of plasma which has got your total dose of drug. Remember this. So now, what happens is, this is the volume of plasma that would contain total dose of drug if concentration throughout body is same as in the plasma. So when we talk about the drug, if you have more volume of distribution, then more drug is going to be present in the tissues, right? If there is more drug in the tissues, there will be more volume of distribution. Now, volume of distribution is inversely proportional to plasma concentration because we already studied this. The more the drug is present in the tissues, the less it will be there in the plasma. Okay. So the volume of distribution comes out to be dose upon plasma concentration, because it is inversely proportional to plasma concentration, directly proportional to dose. Why? Because if you are giving more dose, what is going to happen? The volume of plasma will be more, right? That will contain the total dose of drug. See, you can understand the volume of distribution by this. That is why I gave you these two examples. Here the volume comes out to be 10 liter, right? And here the volume comes out to be 100 liter. So here the drug is getting more adsorbed on the charcoal. That means there is less drug which is present, less concentration of drug which is present. Are you understanding? See, if you have more volume and the same amount of drug, so the concentration will be more in the case in which you have less volume, right? I hope you are able to understand this thing. If you are not able to understand, please review it once again. So you can understand volume of distribution by this example, right? Volume of distribution is more in the case in which there is more adsorption. That means in which there is more distribution inside the tissue. Okay. So volume of distribution equal to dose upon plasma concentration. See, what is the significance? The more the volume of distribution, the more the drug is going to be present in the tissues. And hemodialysis is ineffective because the drug is present in the tissues. Hemodialysis you are going to do only when the drug is present in the bloodstream. After this, when we talk about volume of distribution and T-half, what happens is, if you have more volume of distribution, there is more T-half. Remember, I have explained you everything. This one point I will explain you when we talk about excretion of drug and therapeutic drug monitoring. Okay, so don't worry about this. I have explained you everything in detail, how it is happening, and through this example you will understand why volume of distribution is more in the case in which there is more distribution in the tissues. It is very easy to understand, right? Okay, now see the factors affecting volume of distribution. When we studied about absorption, we talked about the factors affecting absorption. What were the factors affecting absorption? Right, size, lipid solubility, then we talked about surface area, P glycoprotein, pH and ionization. We talked about all those things, right? So here, when we talk about the volume of distribution, if there is more size, see, if the size of the drug is more, it will face some difficulty to get into the tissue because it has to cross the cell membrane, right? Lipid solubility, it has to cross the cell membrane, which is your phospholipid bilayer. So if the lipid solubility is more, volume of distribution is also more. Now age becomes a very important factor. See, as the age increases, what happens? The content of the body is going to get altered. The body water is going to get reduced and fat is going to get increased. So fat increase, that means lipid is increased. So if a drug which is lipid soluble, there will be more volume of distribution. But if there is a drug which is less, if it is less lipid soluble, or you can say if a drug is water soluble. In the case of water soluble drugs, you will have less volume of distribution. That is the case of digoxin. But remember, whenever you are talking about the volume of distribution of a drug, it is going to depend on various parameters, okay? Not only on one parameter, it is going to depend on various parameters. So when you talk about the size of the drug, more the size, less is the volume of distribution. Then you talk about lipid solubility, which is directly proportional to volume of distribution. Then age, as the age is increasing, body fat is increasing, water is increasing. For water soluble drugs, volume of distribution is less, and for lipid soluble drugs, volume of distribution is more. Now, protein binding. See, this becomes very important. When we talk about protein binding, if there is a drug which is binding more to the tissue protein, that means it has more affinity for the tissue protein. So what is going to happen? It will bind more and it will have more volume of distribution. Example is your digoxin, because it binds to sodium potassium ATPase, which is going to be present on your cell of tissues. Now, plasma protein. A drug which is getting bound to more and more plasma proteins. If it is binding more, if it has affinity for plasma proteins, it will remain in plasma. It will not go to tissues. So it will have less volume of distribution. Now try and understand this thing. This is bloodstream. This is your albumin. And this is a drug which is bound to albumin. This is a drug which is free. Okay. Remember, the bound form is always the storage form. And the one which is the free form is always going to be the active form. The free form is the one which is going to act and alter the physiological functions, okay? Now, acidic drug binds to albumin, whereas basic drug binds to a protein which is called as alpha-1 acid glycoprotein. See, when you take the example of warfarin, it is 99% bound and 1% free. So, 99% it will be bound to albumin. But now there is a confusion, you know. Warfarin is bound to albumin. But sulfur drug also comes in, and sulfur drug is like, I also love albumin very much and I want albumin at any cost. I am going to be the one who is going to bind to albumin. So now what this sulfur drug is going to do? This is going to displace warfarin. And now if you have sulfur drug over here and warfarin which is bound over here, it is going to say tata bye bye to warfarin and it is going to get bound to albumin. This is called as basically your drug displacement reaction, because sulfur drug is going to displace warfarin. There is sudden displacement and free form of warfarin will increase. That can cause warfarin toxicity. Remember this. Now we talk about the drugs which bind more to albumin. More albumin binding drugs. See, remember, these drugs will bind more to albumin. So what is the clinical significance if they bind more to albumin? That means they are going to be present in the plasma more. And if a drug displaces them, what is going to happen? There is going to be sudden increase in the level of that drug, of these drugs, and suddenly there will be toxicity. Okay? When we talk about therapeutic drug intakes, we are going to be talking about certain things. So remember, all of these things, they are all correlated. Okay? See, I have made a mnemonic for you all. Warfarin displays very strong protein binding. It is warfarin, D for diazepam, V for valproate, S for sulfonamide, P for phenytoin, F for fluoxetine. Warfarin is basically when we will talk about the drugs affecting blood. We will talk about warfarin. In that case, it is vitamin K antagonist. Okay, so you need not worry about that. Diazepam, valproate, phenytoin, fluoxetine, we will talk about it when we talk about CNS. Sulfonamide is basically going to be dealt in antimicrobials. Okay. So the drugs which bind more to albumin are warfarin, diazepam, valproate, sulfonamide, phenytoin and fluoxetine. What is the mnemonic? Warfarin displays very strong protein fixing. Okay. Now see, we come to the clinical application of more protein binding, more plasma protein binding. The mnemonic is LD3. What is LD3? If a drug is more bound to the protein, we know that proteins are not going to get filtered, right? So it will not be excreted by glomerular filtration. So it will remain inside the body for a longer period of time and it will become a longer acting drug. It will have less volume of distribution because it is more in the plasma. It will remain bound to the plasma protein and less amount of drug will go inside the tissues. Then it is difficult to remove that drug by hemodialysis because hemodialysis is useful to remove the drugs which are present in the bloodstream. but not the drugs which are present in the tissues. Then we talk about drug displacement reaction. Sulfa drug is going to displace warfarin. There is sudden increase in the level of warfarin which can cause warfarin toxicity. Okay, so here we go. We are done with this entire thing of distribution. What mnemonics you have to remember is dialysis, avoid, that is hemodialysis, kerosene, amphetamine, verapamil, opioid, imipramine, digoxin. In these cases, in the toxicity of these drugs, you are not going to perform hemodialysis. And the another mnemonic that you have to remember is warfarin displays very strong protein fixing, that is warfarin, diazepam, valproate, sulfonamide, phenytoin and fluoxetine. These drugs get more and more bound to albumin. Okay, remember the clinical application also. And this is all about distribution. I hope you have understood everything. I have tried to explain you everything through examples, and I have also made mnemonics. So I hope you have understood everything properly. And remember, you just keep revising everything. That is the most important thing that you should remember. You know, if you don't revise, you will forget everything. And at the end, I'm just going to say one thing, that you have to work for your dreams, but also you have to stay happy in your life. Every time you have to push yourself, because you know, most of the times what happens is there are two areas of your brains which are like predominant. There is prefrontal cortex and there is limbic cortex. The limbic cortex is always telling you, oh come on, you should relax today. You should not go for workout today, you know, you're so tired, it's so lazy, it's such a lazy day. Okay, we will study tomorrow, no? Right now we can just watch some Netflix and something, no? We can just go and chill out with friends and party, no? But my dear friends, there's one more cortex which is pushing you to work for your dreams. But you know, the tragedy is limbic system is the king. Working most of the times, 90% of the times limbic system is working. Prefrontal cortex is again and again telling you, my dear, you need to study. You know, your goals are your priorities, because what is going to remain with you is your goals. How you work for your dreams, every day's progress makes a lot of difference. But remember, this prefrontal cortex is not predominant. It is active most of the times, but only and only 7% of the times you're going to listen to your prefrontal cortex. So it is very important that you decide what you want to do. Whether your goal is more important to you or partying is more important to you. You know what? When everyone else is partying, when everyone else is enjoying, when everyone else is playing games, when everyone else is chilling out, making boyfriends and girlfriends, you know what? What you are doing? You are working hard in your room. You're working for yourself. You're working for your dreams. Every day and every night you're working for it. And you know what? All of this is going to be paid off one day. One night success is never ever there. But that one night boom success is going to come in your life, because you have spent thousands of nights working hard for it, thousands of days working hard for it. Remember this. So stay happy, fit, never stop learning in your life. Bye bye. Thank you.